Hello and welcome to the Local Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Johnson. The Local Leaders Podcast provides a platform for successful business owners to share their stories, their experiences, their advice, and their ideas in order to help our listeners achieve more success in their business and in their lives. Get ready, another great show is coming up. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. It's Jeff Johnson again with the Local Leaders Podcast, and we're happy to have you here listening to the show today. And we are super excited to have Cindy Lotterman Schneider on with us today, and she is the owner of San Chez Bistro in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Welcome to the show, Cindy.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Well, we are, as I said, super excited to have you with us today and looking forward to learning more about you and your business. And in addition to San Chez Bistro, I'll just go ahead and mention Cindy also owns Roame by Sanchez there in Grand Rapids, as well as a new project that's just about ready to open its doors in a few weeks called Beacon Corner Bar. So we look forward to hearing those stories as well. So why don't you just we'll open up with San Chez Bistro and tell us a little about the restaurant and kind of what it's all about and how you got into this crazy business.
Well, I got into this crazy business putting myself through college. So that's how that all started many years ago. In 1992, Sanchez Bistro opened its doors. Sanchez is a Spanish tapas restaurant. It was started by two chefs that graduated from the Culinary Institute here in Grand Rapids. And they brought me on, and I helped them along the way back in the early years. Because I had a lot of restaurant experience, I owned my own food truck for many years, and I knew a lot more about running an establishment. We all love chefs; they're fabulous. But when it comes to business and how a restaurant is run, you want somebody that is financially and focused on running good numbers. Anyway, right. So I helped them out for a couple of years, and during the years, they started buying each other out, and I bought them out. So in 2014, after having stock with them for I think about 7 or 8 years, I turned around and bought out the last of the stockholders. And so it's been me and my family. I have a husband that's in the restaurant business, and now I have 2 amazing sons that also help us out. So it's a family business, but it's still a female owned because I started it first. It was easier bureaucratically just to keep it as a woman owned business. So I own 100%, but my family is 100% involved. So we here at Sanchez, this is a pretty good sized restaurant. It's about 250 seats. It's 2 levels. It's very wild and active. It's tapas, so it is it's eating food in rotation, like dishes continuously come right along with cocktails. So really it's an amazing time to sit down at a table with friends or family and just relax and enjoy the food, talk about the drinks. So there's no real icebreakers that are needed, especially if you're on a date, because the icebreaker is what's coming at you and the things that people haven't seen before. It's a culinary experience to dine here. So
yeah, I was going to say it's a very experiential kind of thing in the the tapas restaurants I've been at before. You're exactly right. The conversation just kind of flows around the items that are coming. Well, first it is, what are we going to get, right?
Yeah.
And that's always hard because you got to make your selections, but then you just have that parade of good, beautiful, wonderful, savory items coming at you. That we all love to have. So I think in all the people we talked to, we haven't had a tapas restaurant just yet. So is that business significantly different or any different from a traditional dine-in restaurant?
Yeah, it is. There's never really been a very good template written for tapas. I mean, especially when you come to like your point of sales or anything that is designed for restaurants is not at all in the tapas form. So we do things very differently here. Like I said, so it's not like coming in and getting your meat, potato, and starting with a salad, ending with a dessert kind of experience. It's more like you look through it. We try to coach and balance. Our servers are very knowledgeable. We rarely ever hire someone here just as sales. They have to go through the whole bottom up experience. We speak in Spanish when ordering dishes. They're all in Spanish. Everyone has to know every culinary part of the dish to describe it to people. So we believe in a lot of knowledge. We believe in extraordinary food, the experience, the entertainment. What really is one of our top goals here is entertainment and fun. So it's a whole different type of experience than, not going to pick a restaurant, but any, steak restaurant, steak place where you go into and just, you order your steak medium rare and I'll take that potato and I'll start with a salad. So it's completely different, and it's interactive. It's wild. It's, we get tables involved with other tables. I mean, it's just a whole lot different. And, but it is definitely an experience to remember. And it is, believe it or not, the two restaurants that we have open right now, which are so different than any other type of dining, are destination. People come into town to see a show. Like Michael Bublé is coming next week, and we have reservations completely booked for weeks out because people are coming into the city to see the show and to dine. So they know exactly where they want to dine. So we are a destination restaurant. And since 92, I mean, we're talking about before the Food Network. So, and I mention the Food Network a lot because, the Food Network made a lot more foodies out of people, or they brought them all together to say, hey, there's a bunch of us out here that like this, right?
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
So before the Food Network, there was just us doing our thing and trying to explain, crazy food, like, you eat octopus? Yes, we eat octopus here, that kind of thing. So yeah. So
well, that sounds amazing, and every time I do this, I get hungry, and that's the worst part about it. I think I'm gaining weight doing these podcasts, but it sounds delicious, and even the octopus, I hadn't had that since in a long time. But it's very interesting, and so tell me this: how from I would think that tapas, being that you've got multiple dishes coming out, that managing food costs is even more important, maybe in a tapas restaurant than other, although all of them are obviously important. Do you see, is there a big disparity in food costs in the tapas restaurant versus your other restaurants?
Well, with restaurants, it's interesting because if you're just throwing a steak on the grill, right, and a baked potato that's been in the oven, you're able to actually pay your staff a little bit more. But when you get into tapas, there's so much prep involved to create beautiful dishes. Because all of our dishes, have the swirls on it. So you know what I'm saying? Or the design that jumps out at you, or like, ooh, look at that. I mean, how many times have we said, ooh, look at that steak? You go, oh, that looks delicious, and you eat it. But ours are, dropped on the table with a description and what all the components are around it, separate serving spoon. And then people just start digging in and going. And that takes a lot of time and a lot more prep involved. So there's a big difference there, and it has been difficult to keep that balance after COVID with food costs rising, which is interesting, labor coming up. So, we're definitely challenged right now. This is not an easy time to be in the food business. Here in Michigan, we were closed or restricted for 453 days.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah, our governor was super serious, and, she believed in keeping us all safe. And that was the rule with the health department. So 453 days is a very long time to come back. So we're still struggling a little bit. We are still waiting for the RRF, and a lot of people got it. We missed it. We got it for our smaller restaurant, but not the big one. And I mean, there's a lot of incentives out there for us right now. It's just getting through the long steps to get there to help us along. We do have this thing coming up starting on the 16th of September in Grand Rapids here, and it's a very large art festival, and it's called Art Prize. Art Prize is the name of it, and it'll bring in just about a little less than 1 million people in 3 weeks from out of state, and it went for 10 years strong, and then the 11th year they decided to change up the concept, which was a flop, and then the 12th year was COVID. And then now we're on the 13th year. So they're bringing back the festival that was 3 years ago back this year. And it's, I'll be honest, it's a little scary. And the same time, we've got all of our shows coming back, just like Broadway. All of our music shows, our conventions are back. So September is here. And I'm really very excited that, we're trying really hard to get back to normalcy. But like I said in the beginning earlier, it's just like the labor is the biggest struggle in getting people trained, because for us, it's just not come in and, take a table. There's a lot of education going on. And so it's difficult. So, but we're ready for 3-week festival of nonstop guests. It's nonstop. It's the most incredible thing. It was started by a young man named Rick DeVos, who of course is from the DeVos family that we know from the past administration. And it's an outdoor, indoor festival of artists that come from all over the world. And there's a lot of money and prizes involved. So it's a big voting event too. So it's very fun. It really took Grand Rapids out of its flyby zone and brought it to 13 years ago to a higher level of, there's something happening here. That was a big festival. So,
Right.
But in the long run, it adds like 3 fiscal weeks onto our year. So we almost triple our sales for 3 weeks. So to get your head around that concept is difficult, but we're hoping that it'll pull us a little bit out of the hole that we're in.
Yes, ma'am.
With COVID. So, it's kind of that bittersweet. Like it's going to be crazy here, but hopefully we'll survive.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
Well, it'd be nice to have a little cash infusion, from that to try to offset, the 450 days closed or restricted. That's well over a year.
Sure is.
Gosh, I didn't realize Michigan was in that sort of shape in terms of the impact it's having on you all. And I think all that has impacted the workforce, as well as just people deciding to get out of it, completely and not come back. And labor is a big challenge for all of our customers, all of our guests that we've had on. Really every industry, but restaurants specifically have been hit really hard. And finding a way out of that is a magic bullet. If we could figure it out, we'd have it made. But I doubt we'll solve that here today, right?
Yep, we just keep trying, though. I mean, we are the creative part of the industry. We're hospitality, so we have some good creative thoughts. It's just finding the right one to click, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Got it. Yeah.
Well, as you said, the finances have to work. I think the whole industry as a whole is, there's got to be change, and COVID drove a lot of changes to the industry already, and I think there's more to come, especially when it comes to wages, pay disparities, or the perception of that, for some. Um, Benefits, all the different things that push people from one career to another have got to come to fruition, and even the consumers. We've got to realize that as a consumer and going out to eat, that could change significantly in terms of what it costs to do that, because your cost of doing business, has already gone up, and it could continue depending on what you have to do to compete for labor, with other industries in the future. So I didn't mean to get off on that tangent, but it's easy
That's
to
okay. It's a good conversation. Me too. I can do it for hours, honestly.
do. Yeah.
Because I just coming back from Chicago this weekend. It's like, when you're out, it's hard because when you're out to restaurants, you're honestly seeing that they're all struggling with staff. There's just not enough people. And then unfortunately, the owners want you to pack the restaurant. So the guests aren't receiving the type of service that they should be getting for the prices that are going up that they're paying. And so then I wonder about consumer confidence in the restaurant. That's my biggest fear next, is like, what are consumers going to walk away from going, well, I can just go get that, I don't even know what they're called, Just Fresh or Freshie or
Yeah, some of those boxed meals.
boxed.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
That's my biggest fear, it's like, so yeah, and then the sensitivity of staff members right now is a real different thing too. There's a lot of depression, there's a lot of fear still around with COVID and finances and families, and so you get that, and you're just a little bit off twerk with them, and you can lose people daily.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
the revolving door, if you're not super sensitive, is really a lot faster right now than it usually is. Usually, I mean, I have people that have been with me for over 20 years, so I don't, a lot of people find our place to be a family business that's really fun to work at. And you see the owners like me, we all care about you, but there's 100+ employees, so that's fills your day too. So anyway, I just am trying to say that I don't want consumer confidence to go down for restaurants. I've been hearing little rumors of it. Why don't you just come to my house? I cook, it'll be a better experience. And I'm like, we can't have that. We're going to lose it again,
Yeah. That's not what you want to hear as an owner, operator, investor, anything when it comes to the business. Well, switching gears, and I'm really bad about bouncing around, so I may bounce right back to where we are. But I'd love to hear just a little bit, if you wouldn't mind sharing, about Roame, and then also about Beacon Corner. For Roame, kind of what the concept is, how long it's been around, et cetera. And then I'll ask you some more about Beacon Corner.
Sure. For the longest time, okay, so I'm just going to say that my husband and I were running the restaurant, and both of our sons were in college. One was going to school and finished as an air traffic controller, and the other one finished with a business and Spanish degree, 2 different colleges. And then all of a sudden they both show up at our doorstep and go, hey, we want to work for the family business. And we're like,
what?
Get out of here.
There's that Long Island.
There it is. And so they came back to work for us. And then we were like, oh, well, let's expand a little bit. So we actually tried to franchise or to multiply and do another San Chez Bistro over on the east side of the state, Detroit. But that got so complicated. They were growing so fast over there, coming out of their bankruptcy. It just didn't work. And it's probably a blessing that we're not over there. So then we decided, well, we should probably come up with a new concept. And my husband and I travel a lot, and we used to. Hopefully it'll come back soon. But so we decided to, and through research, we stay really close to the National Restaurant Association and the Michigan Restaurant Association. So we read a lot and do a lot of research, and we were seeing that like street food was becoming a real popular thing. Mm-hmm. So Roame by Sanchez is global street food, inspired global street food. So we have foods from all over the world. that you would often find on the streets and put into dishes where you sit down and enjoy it. Just kind of like tapas the tapas style here in the United States is not at all like the tapas in Spain. In Spain, you don't have a seat, you're standing, you're getting a drink, and then they give you a plate of potato salad or something. But anyway, and we dine on it. So global street food. So it's like we have from China, the zhenbing, and from India, the kadi roll. And so we have all these really bizarre foods that are fabulous in flavor. And so, yeah, it's been there just about 3 years and it's doing really well. It's right across the street from our performance hall, our big performance hall, and our convention center. So we have a lot of foot traffic there. That is a little one. It's like 70 seats. So that is Roame by Sanchez. So very fun.
Yeah, that one's cool. And you were in the food truck business in the past as well. So I mean, I could see Inspired Global Street Food in a food truck all day long.
All day long, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we're opening right next. So we've always had this space right next to Sanchez in the same building, but we decided to build it out. It was an event space for a while. We had this very large hotel going across the street from us. Grand Rapids is a booming city. There are the buildings going up all over. So we decided that the event space next door was it's a beautiful corner, all glass. We decided that it probably wasn't pulling in as much revenue as it could. So once again, we decided to come up with a new concept. So Beacon Corner Bar and Coastal Fare will be a seafood boil restaurant. So bringing back my Long Island stuff. So like, clam bakes and boils and, fish fries. And so it's going to be a coastal fare over there. So
that sounds awesome. That's one of my favorites actually is
the
boils and the pots, steam pots and, all those different things. It sounds awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And you're hoping that as we were talking before we started the show that right now you've got everything ready to roll except for people.
Yep.
So
and with our prize coming up right now, in a couple days, we host quite a few. I think we have 7 artists in our 3 restaurants. So we host artists. They'll put their art up here. And we decided to host an artist over at the new concept, which is directly across the hall. You can walk right to it. So we're just going to be doing like maybe just cocktail service there. People can come through and read about it, see what's coming, and kind of just like a sneak peek. Because if we opened and we were not ready for it, obviously not our first rodeo, but the earth could just open up and suck us in, because our prize has been known to take a restaurant, chew it up and spit it out. It's pretty intense. It's an intense time. It's kind of like Palapalooza in Chicago. I don't know what happens over there in North Carolina. Do you have any big events like that?
We do have some big events, but I don't know that they're as big as what you're talking about. One of the things we have is we've always had out of High Point, North Carolina, is the furniture market. There's 2 furniture markets in the U.S. each year, and it was always in High Point, North Carolina until about 10 or 12 years ago, I think, is when Vegas opened up a second one. But we get a lot of activity and a lot of people from all over the world, flying in and coming in during Furniture Mart. So it's crazy. It's people that live there are renting out their homes and leaving for the week. And
absolutely.
Yeah, same kind of thing. It's just it's just but it's only a week, so it's like 5 days and they're out of here. So a 3-week event sounds horrendous.
Yes,
if I were a restaurant owner in the middle of it. It's good and it's ugly at the same time.
Yeah, so we're bringing all our staff in this coming Sunday because there's a lot of people that don't even know what we're talking about. They've never experienced it. It's kind of like the first week of our prize. It's like, woo, this is so fun. The second week was like, if I have to tell you this again, like nobody knows where to go, and same. Then the third week, you're just like, telling them where to go. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's hard to keep that motivation level up. So it's fun.
Either that or you're the Walking Dead.
Yeah. Exactly.
Here's your tapas.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, it sounds good, and like I said, it sounds bad at the same time. So
yeah, there's something about having a crazy restaurant that just keeps us all going. I don't know, there's something about that buzz that you get from working in this business that just, I don't know, something about it just makes you happy.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'm curious, since you've had several. Well, you started with the one you started with food trucks, and you went to the Tapas Restaurant, and then you went to Roame. How, in your experience, how long has it taken you, or would you expect it to take to get to black on a new investment like that? I've never asked anyone that question, so
it's all good. Well, to me it takes about a good 3 years. Yeah. I mean, and it's like a lot of tweaking. Like for us, it's like listening to our guests, like, what do you want? And then making sure that everybody knows, like, that's what they want to do. So you have to listen to your guests, and, oh, we really love that. We're bringing it back, getting people to follow you, controlling your costs. With food business anyway, you have cross utilization of a lot of different food items so you're not just bringing in, shrimp for one item, but you're cross-utilizing it so it stays fresh.
Right.
There's so many elements, but I would definitely say it's about 3 years. Yeah, 3 years. So just about time for me to retire.
Yeah. Well, look, I don't. You told me your age there, but you don't look it. So it looks like you got a lot of years ahead of you.
There you go.
Yeah, there's the sweet talk from North Carolina.
There it is. We like it.
Yes, ma'am. But yeah, that's interesting to hear, because, and I know it varies. It depends on the concept, your investments, what you've got in it, to start with. There's so many variables out there, but there a lot of our listeners are future restaurant owners. In addition to having owners and investors and different people like that as well, in our listening audience. And the trying to the hardest obstacle to overcome for most is coming up with the money to get started. Mm-hmm. So any advice you might give to those newbies who are looking to fund that first restaurant? I didn't prep you for this, so I realize I'm throwing things at you from left field, but
that's all right. I mean, if you don't have private investors, which Dan and I didn't, we don't have families with deep pockets either, so where the previous owners had those things. But we have a college here, Grand Valley State University, and they have a business program that is a free service to anyone starting a business here in this area, especially if you're alumni, which I am. So that was one of the most helpful things for me to do, is I was able to project, and they helped me write a business plan, and it was all a free service to me, where usually when you start that kind of thing, you're like, where does this even, do I have to Google this? How does this work? Yeah. But so the business association at Grand Valley was so very, very helpful to me. I mean, I've had quite a few different business plans, and they've told me, hey, Cindy, run, get out of that one. That's not a good one. Going to Detroit or different ones that I don't want to mention, but other people have wanted me in their neighborhoods or areas. And it just, they look at the foot traffic, they look at what numbers you have to do, what's your rent. And so, there's a lot of different pieces that come together to help you be successful, Like, who would have ever known that rent needed to be 7% of your sales? I'm like, nobody ever
Yeah.
told me that before, and that was super helpful for me, and I've been able to pass it along to other people, and so, but yeah, so that was,
that's helpful to me because I've never heard anyone say that. I mean, I know prime costs and I know what the targets are, for food and labor, but I've never heard rent at 7%. Now, if you go to get a mortgage, you'll learn from the mortgage originators what your income needs to be as a percentage of your home, of your mortgage payment. So I guess it's the same thing, right?
It is the same thing, right?
Yeah.
But who knew? I had no idea. So, but yeah, so they were super helpful to me. When you get involved with banks, it's difficult. I will be honest. It is difficult as a woman. I'm just going to say it, to get a loan from a bank. Just putting it out there, and not much I can do about it. But so even though like I have really good books, when I really got into Sanchez, the previous owners were in the red quite a bit, and so it took me. That was about 2 years, but it was already established business too. So, but I got got them out of the red. He got all of their stockholders paid off. And that's when I was able to purchase it at a good price,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that would be for me. If you have a local college that can help you write a business plan and help you, with that. And I know those little SBA groups are out there, and they're so helpful.
Yeah, I was about to mention SBA loans as being an option. I've got a friend out of Florida that's in that business, and hopefully I'm gonna have him on the show here before long and kind of do a special edition where I'm not talking to an owner, but actually, someone who owners may need, in terms of expansion or adding.
And they have been
locations.
they've been so helpful. SBA has been just a godsend for, and then the chambers, that's another thing I'd say to a lot of people is like, if you're able to have membership with like your chamber or your National Restaurant Association or the SBA or whatever you need, they're very, very helpful to guide you along the way, answer for questions, like the National Restaurant Association offered free legal advice, for 20 minutes a month when I was, unfortunately, when all those riots happened. We have the police, our police department is directly across the street. So we were a high zone for that.
Yeah.
Took a lot of, burnt our building and part of our building down. But anyway, there was just a lot of legal advice that was there. So, those are just really helpful. They might not have been helpful in the past or not needed, but to be honest, just pay those membership fees and they're there for you. They are filled with information. So
good idea and good advice. And I'll just add that I was talking with another owner a couple weeks back, and they were talking about expansions and getting really creative because landlords today, they have space. They've had a lot of people shut down and not come back from COVID. They've got empty buildings. And some of them, when you find the right location, are willing to get creative to help get you in.
Yeah, that's true.
So don't be afraid to ask. Right?
Don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like at COVID, I was told to ask to take like 3 months of my rent and push it to the end. With a little bit of an extra percentage hit, for where, and that was, they were like, yeah, we'd be happy to do that. And I was like, so I was like rent free for 3 months, which was so helpful, just don't be afraid to ask and listen to advice, listen to what, people tell you.
I think that's terrific advice to be able to give for all of us. And we all have to be able to take it too, because as business owners, we don't ever want to be complacent, and especially from our education and our learning and our openness to new ideas and new ways of doing things, because, in this industry, we're going to have to change. We're going to have to make drastic changes in some cases going forward into the future. And, it may not look the same 10 years from now as it does today. And hopefully it'll be for the better. And maybe one day we'll figure out how restaurant owners can have quality of life in addition to a good business.
I hear you.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can deliver that one, but it sure would be nice. And it's tough, and I admire you and your family for all that you guys are doing. You're essentially running 2 restaurants today and about to have a third. And gosh, I don't know how you balance, how you manage, but I'm assuming you have some good general managers
Yep.
between your, and there's probably, is it the sons, or the sons kind of splitting that job up, and your husband?
Yep, they are. And then we have amazing people, like managers that run great shifts for us, are loyal to us. It's great. We have, very proud of the people that we have working for us. It's a family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen, over the years in your experience and in your business, have you had to, I've been asking this lately, and it's kind of interesting, but have you had to change as your leadership style, or kind of have you grown as a leader or changed as a leader to kind of, as your business has grown?
No, I don't think so. I don't see that my leadership has changed. I am definitely passing in a lot more to my sons, but and believe it or not, I'm like 40 plus years and a lot of the people that are starting here. So,
Yeah.
I mean, the way I speak is completely different than the way they speak. So, just the language or the style, or, the music that we're listening to,
Yeah.
so much. Yeah. Things like that. So, I've softened a lot in that way. Just like sit back and let the next generation move forward. But as for my goals and my standards, and no, I haven't backed down. It's still hospitality, and there's still a certain way to do it. So, I always still say, people, if they're sitting in your section or they're coming to dine with you, you treat them like you're in your own home. You make them welcome. Sit back, relax. Let's take care of you. We're gonna even do the dishes, okay? So that kind of thing. Yeah, have some fun.
Hey, I like that. I've never heard that.
Yeah,
that'd be a good slogan or something, or a good ad campaign.
Yeah.
Nobody likes, well, these days, nobody, you said you were concerned about the industry itself and things like that, with people cooking at home. But from what I see out there, and I'm one of them, nobody wants to cook. Nobody wants to clean dishes. And, we want to have somebody take care of it, especially since COVID. I mean, once you could go back to a restaurant, we just went crazy and, flocked to it. And of course, timing stunk because restaurant didn't have the staff, and then food shortages and food prices and all those things hit. So it's just kind of been crazy. All in all, but you guys are doing awesome, and you're growing during COVID, which is quite inspirational.
Thank you.
So congratulations for the success that you've had. And any final words of wisdom or anything that I missed asking you that I should have?
No, I think we're good. I mean, like I said, I could talk all day. I've been doing this all my life. So
Yes,
every
ma'am.
year is different, but survive. We're going to survive. And I guess the only thing I would say is, often I hear people say, well, I went to my favorite restaurant, it was packed. So restaurants are back. Why do they need any more, assistance or help? But we're back, but it's going to be a rough winter. So just remember that we still can use a little more support, so.
Yeah. And to our listeners who are not owners, but maybe foodies or people that enjoy going out to eat, we've all got to remember that there's a significant shortage in staff, and service levels, may not be 120%, although we're all trying to make it that way. And I think the biggest thing I heard, like this past week, I was in Florida on vacation, so we ate out a lot, and I'd hear people complaining about having to wait. And I see 5 tables over there. Well, I got to stand out here. Just remember, there's nobody to serve those tables, and there's not enough cooks in the kitchen, and there's not enough food in the pantry, in the freezer.
Yeah, that's right.
There's a lot of issues that are impacting how we serve, or how you guys are serving your customers, and that's every restaurant out there. So the public, we need to be a little more patient, a little more understanding, and just be thankful that you guys are there and that you're able to take care of us as well as you do. So
Thank you very much.
You are very welcome. I thank you for being here again. Again, we're talking to Cindy Lotterman Schneider, who's the owner of 3 restaurants now, San Chez Bistro in Grand Rapids, Michigan, as well as Roame by Sanchez and Beacon Corner Bar, soon to be opening. Maybe have some light occasions opening up in the next few weeks with some services, but not the full thing yet. But we hope to have that soon. And if you're in that area, please, if you haven't visited these restaurants or bars, please get there. If you've not been there in a while, please come back and bring 4 or 5 people with you, because they're there to serve, and we all need to support our restaurants and the staff in those restaurants, because they've all been hurt, and we need to be very supportive. So please get out there and visit. And again, Cindy, thank you so much for your time today, for being here. We appreciate it. To all our listeners, thank you for listening to another episode of Local Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Johnson, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.